welcome back to my channel. Let's study. This is Debasmita again back with you. So we have discussed about the first two agriculture practices, that was preparation of soil and sowing. In this video we will start from the third agriculture practice, that is adding manures and fertilizers. Adding manures and fertilizers and continue according to it. So we all are familiar with these terms for manures and fertilizers, but in this chapter we will learn about them in a depth way. So first let us know what are manures and fertilizers. The substances which is used as nutrients in the soil for the proper and healthy growth of crops are called manures and fertilizers. The substances which are used as nutrients for the proper and healthy growth of the plants are called manures and fertilizers. So basically this manures and fertilizers are a type of nutrients which are used for the proper growth of plants. Now let's know about them in a detailed way and let's separate them, manures and fertilizers. Now what is manure? Manure is an organic substance. Manure is an organic substance. It is made up of totally natural substances. So we have learned that manures are totally organic substance. They are made up of only natural substances. Now the next question that comes is that how manures are prepared. Yes, manures are prepared by the decomposition of dead and decaying matters. They are made by the decomposition of dead and decaying matters like animal waste, plant waste, by microorganisms. So I am explaining you in depth way. What is that? When the decomposition happens of the waste materials like animal waste, plant waste, dead and decaying plants are left over in the forest floor. They are decomposed by the microorganisms like various bacteria, fungi. These type of microorganisms decompose these waste materials into an organic nutrient, and that is known as manure. In the last video, I have told you that while preparing the soil, when we are loosening the soil, the nutrients used to come at the top layer. And that nutrient is the natural manure, which is very important for the growth of plants. So, we learned what is natural manure. That is, when after loosening the soil, when the nutrients used to come on the top layer of the soil, that is the natural manure. And normally manures are prepared by the decomposition of dead and decaying organisms. The third point is that manures are prepared by farmers in the field. They do not require any factories to be prepared. They are just prepared in the fields. So we have got 3 points of manures. Now the fourth point is that it adds humus to the soil. It is adding humus. That means the manure which is prepared is containing humus which is added to the soil. And we know that humus is very important for the growth of plant. It is one of the main nutrients which is required for the proper growth of plants. So the last point by which we can conclude manures is that manures does not contain any plant nutrients. Now, so we have learnt about the manures. Next comes fertilizers. Fertilizers are inorganic substances. Fertilizers are inorganic substances. Fertilizers are made by mixing up several chemicals. As we have learned that manures are made by the decomposition, but fertilizers are made by several chemicals. Third point of fertilizer is that fertilizers are made in factories. They cannot be prepared in fields as like of manures. They have to be prepared in factories. And we the human beings are preparing that fertilizers. Now the fourth point is that it adds no humus to the soil. As manures contains some amount of humus which is very much useful for the growth of plants, but fertilizer does not contain any humus, but it contains plant nutrients. As manures does not contain any plant nutrients, but fertilizer contains plant nutrients like urea, ammonium sulfate, potash, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So now how we will differentiate between manures and fertilizer? In such way. Manure is an organic substance, fertilizer is an inorganic substance. It is prepared by decomposition of dead and decaying matters. Fertilizers are prepared by mixing up several chemicals. It is prepared in fields, it is prepared in factories. It adds humus to the soil, it adds no humus to the soil. It does not contain any plant nutrients, but it contains plant nutrients like urea, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium and potash, etc. So this is how we can differentiate between manures and fertilizer. But apart from this, manures are also having some advantages. Let's know about them. Some advantages of manures are: it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. That means it increases the water holding capacity of the soil. Number 2, it makes the soil porous for the exchange of gases. It makes the soil porous for respiration of the plants. Number 3, it helps in the growth of friendly microbes like earthworms, which helps to add humus to the soil. Now the fourth advantage of manure is it improves the texture of the soil. That means it is improving the soil texture for the growth of plants. So these are the 4 advantages. I am repeating it once again. First is that it enhances the water holding capacity of the soil. Number 2 is that it makes the soil porous for the exchange of gases. Number 3, it helps in the growth of friendly microbes. And number 4, it improves the texture of the soil. These are the 4 advantages of manures. And besides this, there are two disadvantages of fertilizer. That are, if it is added more, it will make the soil infertile. That means if we use fertilizer in excess amount, or if we cross the limit of using fertilizer, then it may make the soil infertile, which is very much bad for the growth of plants. And number 2 is that it is one of the reasons for water pollution. So if we add more and more fertilizer, then it will be a cause for water pollution. So these are the 2 disadvantages of fertilizer. Now up to this, which I have told you, is about manures and fertilizer. They are actually replenishing the soil. When we are adding it in the soil, it replenishes the soil, which is very much useful and healthy for the growth of plants. So there are other ways for replenishing soil rather than manures and fertilizer. There are 3 more ways other than manures and fertilizer in which we can replenish the soil. So that is gap cultivation. Gap cultivation means, for example, I am growing a crop here, and after the crop is harvested, after 2 to 3 months we can grow the crop at a particular place. That means we need to give some time to the soil so that the nutrients can replenish at that place. So we need to give some time for the soil for replenishing it. That is called gap cultivation. Next is that crop rotation. Crop rotation means growing the crops alternately. It is called crop rotation. And the third is that nitrogen fixers, like the rhizobium bacteria, which are present in the roots of the leguminous plants. That is why farmers grow leguminous plant, so that the rhizobium bacteria can absorb the atmospheric nitrogen and convert into its soluble form, so that the plants can easily absorb and can make proteins for them in their body. For the requirement of protein, these nitrogen fixers are very much important. So that is all about adding manures and fertilizer. After the third process we have learned, that was adding manures and fertilizer. Now fourth point, that is irrigation. Irrigation actually means watering of crops. It is watering of crops at regular intervals. We all water the plants, we all water our gardens. So that is actually watering of plants or irrigation, and which is very much important for the proper and healthy growth of plants. Now, generally, irrigation are of two types: traditional method of irrigation and modern method of irrigation. As we have learnt in the last video that sowing can be also divided into two: traditional method and modern method. Like that, irrigation is also divided in traditional methods and modern method. Now, what are the traditional methods? It is that there are four traditional methods. First is moat, then is moat the pulley system, then chain pump, dhekli and rahat or the lever system. These are the four types of traditional irrigation. Traditional irrigation actually it was used in ancient times by the farmers. It was very cheap process, but it was less efficient. It requires a lot of time. It used to it does not save any time, and farmers used to work very hard. That is why nowadays the modern method has arisen, which used to save time and labor both of the farmers. So first modern method of irrigation is sprinkler method. What is sprinkler method? You can see in the image there is one perpendicular pipe. There is one perpendicular pipe which is having a rotating nozzle at the top, and this pipe is attached to this main pipe at regular intervals, and when the pressure is created from the pump, the water escapes from the rotating nozzles and it falls on the plants as if it is raining. So there are 4 points, that is rotating nozzles on perpendicular pipes. These perpendicular pipes are attached to the main pipe at regular intervals. The pressure is created from the pump which makes the water escape from the nozzles, and the water falls on the crop as if it is raining. This is very much important because it used to save the water, it conserves water. That is why this process is generally used in the places where water is very it is little in amount, where water scarcity problem is a very huge problem. So that was sprinkler system. It is generally used in the places like Rajasthan, where water scarcity problem is a huge problem, and it is usually used in the sandy soil. Sandy soil it is used mainly this sprinkler system, and it conserves time, labor both, and water also. So it is very much important sprinkler system. And there is one more process, one more modern method of irrigation, that is drip irrigation. We all have learnt about this drip irrigation in our earlier class, but in this class we will just recall it once. Here we are having that water falls drop by drop, means water is falling on the plants drop by drop, which is saving water, conservation of water. Number 2 is that it puts water directly at the base of the plant. That means this is also a point which tells that water conservation is done through drip irrigation. Water is falling directly at the base. That means the roots can directly absorb that water. Number 3 is that water is sprayed using narrow tube links. Narrow tube links are used for this drip irrigation method. And number 4 is that water is not at all wasted. Water is not at all wasted. It is totally conserved. And it is really boon to the people of the areas where water is scarce. That means it is very much helpful. It's like a boon to the people who are living in the places where water is very much scarce. It is very much less in amount. And you can see the images also. I have drawn it about the drip irrigation, how the water is falling on the plants. So that is all about drip irrigation method and adding manures and fertilizer. So I am coming with the next video very soon, where we will be learning about the next few processes which are left out. So thank you for today, and if you like my video, please click on the like button. Please share my video, and to stay with me, subscribe my channel. Thank you.